Hi everybody, it's Charles again with an entry for the 7th of May 2014. It was a Wednesday. Um, Basically, today's topic is going to be about cheating on it if you're, have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a husband or a wife. So basically, when we started off, you know, um, I I got another 7-Eleven special movie. So sometimes, sometimes I go in there for a quart of milk, and then I'll just, go through the dollar rack or the $2 rack, and I'm, like this looks like a piece of shit. Let me see what this entails. So the movie that I got is a movie called Separate Lives, and basically it's a British film. Um, I mean, I could really review the movie and all of that, but I'll just give you a quick plot gist of it. Basically, what happens is, well, the foundation of the story. Basically, the foundation of the story is that this dude is kind of like this British guy is he's very picky with his wife. He's very like upper class. He works too much, and he's always like he's kind of belittling her, not like belittling like you look fat in that dress, like you look ugly today. It's kind of like like why did you set that? Why did you use those plate utensils? Like why did you. Are you really going to put the cheese with those crackers? Fucking like, like why did you cut the roses that way? Why did you have like, the gardener, put those flowers over there? Just kind of like belittling the decisions that she makes in terms of like upper class society. And so, of course, she cheats on him, you know. She cheats on this dude who blatantly doesn't give a shit about her. And she's just like, it's so refreshing to me because it's refreshing because he doesn't really care. So she goes home and she wants to be perfect for her husband, but she can't be, and he just belittles the shit out of her. And so, she ends up cheating with this dude because he makes her feel so relaxed and so calm because he doesn't make any demands on her other than he doesn't even care if she shows up, and she's just like it's so refreshing and it makes me feel so normal and so relaxed. And so that's not what I'm going to talk about, but I mean that I actually understand. If you were somebody who always makes you feel uptight and high strung, then obviously it's not, you don't feel good and you don't feel normal. Like, I mean, I've gone through situations where people, family members or friends have been excessively picky. Like when I was younger, I felt like my mother was overly picky on some instances, on how I would behave and things. And she was very quick to scold. I mean, granted, she wanted us to turn out well, and she wanted us to turn out like as good people. But sometimes it just felt like, any situation I do, I just have to walk on eggshells because it was always a quick, like I'd go somewhere with her and I'd be so nervous that I'd get a quick scolding that like, I wouldn't feel good about going out in the first place. I wouldn't feel, natural. I wouldn't feel like a child. I just feel like somebody uptight and who had to always worry about, they're not doing the wrong thing. And it bothered me. And, if I had to deal with that situation now, like if I was, at a stuffy board meeting and, my boss was hunkering over my shoulder, making sure I didn't say the wrong thing, I feel like that shit would bother me now. So I understand, a lot of times when you're in a situation like that, you'll do anything to get, out of it. That's why a lot of people turn to drugs and alcohol because they want freedom from, an uptight, heavy, responsibility laden life. And I mean, unfortunately, a lot of times to get, free from that, people don't make good choices. Like I said, drugs and alcohol, some people affairs, some people just freak out and run away from their responsibilities. Like there have been many parents just straight fucking bounced from their families. I know, single mothers who thought that they met Mr. Right and they had kids, and then the father just straight fucking bounced. So I mean, there are, obviously there are intelligent ways to, relax from a heavy life, maybe watching the ball game on TV or getting a bunch of friends over to play cards or something like that. Those are, good ways to relax, but this lady in the movie, she chose to have an affair. But like I said, I do understand it. I don't condone it because I felt like, if it were, a real situation and not like a, make believe situation designed to create drama, I feel like, she should have, talked with her husband, tried to sort that shit out, like really, worked at it, maybe gone to counseling, because when in the movie when she told the husband was shocked. He had no idea that she felt this way, that he had, been making her feel so uptight and everything. But yeah, I mean, basically, that was the foundation of the story. So basically, you know, she has this affair with the guy, and I guess I'm gonna ruin the movie, but the guy that she has the affair with, she struggles. She says she's gonna leave him, and then she backtracks. She promises, oh, I'm going to get him to leave me, and then they backtrack, and so they're always together. And then eventually she just says, like, I can't leave him. He makes me feel too good. So then the husband's kind of like, he's depressed and everything. But then the guy dies. So then she's kind of like, she's a free agent again. And then like the husband, he had never like left. He was always, like trying to talk to her, like trying to, like, how are you doing? You okay? He was still like trying to be an active part of her life. I mean, at the end of the movie, it seemed like he had, even though the guy died, it seemed like he had distanced himself enough from her that, he didn't want her back. But there was still kind of like a, like throughout the whole movie, I felt like, this dude's ready to take her back. Like this dude still wants her, and even one point he declared like, I still love her. Like, I still, have feelings for her, even though she was legit to his face just telling him that she was, sleeping with another man. And so then that got me thinking, like, how many how many people are able to like overcome an affair with somebody else? Like for me that for me I'd like to be able to say, that wouldn't be a relationship killer. I think it would be if it was just like me and that one other person. But if we had like a kids, the whole family, and we had been together, for many, many years, I'd like to be able to think that that wouldn't be like a total relationship killer. Granted that they'd have to do some heavy ass groveling and some fucking, they'd have to like do some penance and whatever, and like I would have to, but I would like to be able to think that they could somehow earn back my trust. But in reality, I don't know if they ever could. You know, I know like I've been thinking a lot about the saying once a cheater, always a cheater. But I mean, if that's the case, then there's no such thing as rehabilitation. So once a criminal, always a criminal, once an idiot, always an idiot. So it's just like, can people really learn? Or are there some things that are ingrained so deep in them that they can't learn? Like I understand when somebody cheats. Well, I guess it depends. Like when the lady in the movie cheated, it was kind of like, I don't want to say it was the husband's fault, but if he wasn't such a picky bitch to her, then maybe she would have been happier and she wouldn't have, struck out and gone with somebody else. But I mean, a lot of times cheating is just, well, the cheating that I've seen, a lot of it is arrogance, fuck, my wife's not good enough for me. I'm gonna go get somebody better, but I'm gonna keep my wife on the back burner, just in case this shit doesn't work out, or maybe, I need somebody to watch my kid while I go party with this bitch over here. So that's when I think it's arrogance, and that's when it's in my. That's when I believe it's generally like, it's the most wrong, because people. If you've watched any of my videos, you know me by now. I don't believe in arrogance in the slightest. You know, I don't think that anybody. I don't think anybody is better than anybody. I mean, granted, some people act better than other people. Fucking people that mug, old ladies, or they're acting very shittily. They're doing crummy things. But yeah, so people that, mug old ladies, they're doing, shitty stuff. And people, that are, you know, doctors and stuff and fucking firemen are doing their best to save lives on a daily basis. So they're doing good stuff. So, I mean, there are people that act, better. But I wouldn't automatically say, that fireman or that, doctor is better than the person doing the mugging or whatever. I mean, I don't know the story. Maybe the doctor secretly does drugs or whatever, maybe he beats his children. You don't know. It's hard to really just like pick out two people based on a job and say, they're doing better or they're a better person. Maybe the person that's doing the mugging needs to, they can't get a job. They need to make ends meet, for their family or something like that. Maybe it's a Mr. Sandman in Spider-Man 3 where the daughter's sick and he needs money fast for treatment or something like that. Or like that fucking John Q movie with Denzel Washington where he took the ER hostage because his son was being denied a heart and his son was going to die if he didn't take drastic measures. So, I mean, you never know the instance. So I'll obviously I'll be, I will, if I get mugged, I'm going to press charges on whoever mugged me. I'm not just going to fucking, oh, let it go, they could be having a rough night. I'm going to press charges because they did the crime, they should do the fucking time. But that doesn't mean I'm going to think they're automatically a shitty person, you know. Granted, if I get mugged and I get like pistol whipped, I'm going to be fucking heated at that one person. So it's hard, don't take my opinion of something after I get pistol whipped by them. Don't take my opinion of them because it's obviously going to be fucking very, very negative. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just, I, if I see, somebody in prison, I'm not going to act like a condescending douchebag to them just because they're in prison. A lot of people make mistakes. A lot of people make, stupid choices when they're younger. A lot of people, unfortunately, don't have, a good upbringing and they don't know how to make good choices. Um, that being said, that's not an excuse if you don't have you don't have a good childhood and then you end up murdering people. That's not an excuse. Um, I believe Hotchner in Criminal Minds said he was talking to somebody who had been beaten, when he was a child, and then he said, I think the criminal said like, people that are beaten they grow up to be killers, and then Hotchner said something like, or they grow up to catch killers, implying that he had been beaten, at least in the Criminal Minds canon, and that he grew up to catch them. Um, Obviously, not every killer or not every person who's been beaten, during their childhood grows up to be, a killer. I mean, unfortunately, those that are molested, as children do have more of a tendency to molest as they get older, to, reciprocate, they're molested as children, they unfortunately grow up and molest children. I think that's more because they're confused about sex and, they're confused about intimacy and things like that. And, I don't think that's just like something, I don't think it's something that becomes, that's like, it's not the way they were born or something. It's just unfortunately that developed in them because they were, molested. I mean, that's not to say that fucking if somebody gets molested, it's automatically going to happen, you know, that they're automatically going to molest, I've unfortunately known some people. I've known some people that were unfortunately molested, and that's fucking, they look back on it and, there's no idea in my mind that they'll ever molest. They're just, you can, you can tell that they fucking hate it so much and that they're, so vehemently against it. And, it's such like a hard part of their life that they must get over that, that they're going to do whatever it takes to stop themselves from doing that shit. And so, I look at them and I know that they're never going to fucking go down that path. But unfortunately, some people do, and some, sometimes people get caught off guard by it. And so, but I mean, that I guess is kind of an argument, for the once a cheater, always a cheater saying, because that means that, once it's proven that they have that, cheating trait in them, it means that that's part of who they are, and they'll never eliminate it. You know what I'm saying? So it means that, like, you have that fucking cheating chromosome, that fucking cheating characteristic ingrained in you. So no matter what, that shit is always going to be part of who you are. Maybe if you cheat due to arrogance, you're never going to lose that arrogance, according to that train of thought. But I mean, I would like to believe, that if, let's say, my girlfriend cheats on me, that, eventually she would, like, we would talk it out, and eventually, hopefully, she would, we would figure out the root cause of it, and, we could stop it from occurring again. But I mean, unfortunately, I feel like there would be too much trust lost in my eyes to really, forgive her. Unfortunately, every time she wasn't with me, I would, think like, oh my God, where is she? Like, is she with some dude? Fucking, is she cheating on me right now? And unfortunately, I think that doubt in who she actually is, as a person, I think would cause me to kind of like, lose my shit, unfortunately. I like to be a constantly rational human being who can, think, like, she's probably just fucking, stuck at work or something, or maybe she's stuck in traffic, or, she just ran out to get something at the store or something like that. But unfortunately, when trust is lost like that quickly and that suddenly, it's very hard to gain it back up. And I don't think it's ever 100% gained back up. So I don't think, in most instances, I don't think a relationship, one that's not built on many, many years and, many kids, can really survive an affair, unfortunately. Because I know that, sometimes you're angry at your spouse, you get drunk at a bar, and the next thing you know, you're in bed with some waitress or some, some some bar skank or some, no, some fucking, some man or some woman, and fucking mistakes do happen. And I know that a lot of people fucking feel terrible about it afterwards, but they still fucking man up, and they tell their, their respective other, and then they try and, do their best to, make sure it never happens again. But unfortunately, once the trust is broken, it's very, very hard for it to be built back up, if it can ever be built back up. So, I mean, that's pretty much what I'm getting at. I mean, unfortunately, I I don't believe once a cheater, always a cheater, because I think that people can be rehabilitated. I mean, if you cheat on your spouse and you see how much like pain and anguish it brings them, I think that can be, that's enough to fucking, knock that right out of your mindset. It's enough to freaking, oh, holy shit, look at her fucking, look at her freak out, look at her cry, I don't want to do that to her ever again. I'm going to make sure to keep that shit in my fucking pants. I think that is enough to fucking, it's enough to make, those ideas leave your mind. Depending upon what causes it, fucking, again, if it's arrogant, you think she's an idiot and you think you can fucking, play her like a fool, getting caught and her freaking out obviously is not going to change your mind about fucking cheating, because you already think that she's a fucking idiot and she's a loser. So fucking you just brush that shit off. Oh, she caught me once this time. I'll be smarter next time and she won't catch me. She's dumb. She doesn't fucking notice what I do and shit like that. So I mean, I guess the once a cheater, always a cheater thing really depends upon why they cheated. If they cheated because it was just a fucking mistake, then, I think they do have a chance to be rehabilitated. But if they cheat because they're a fucking douchebag and that, they think that they can fucking play whoever they're with like an idiot and just fucking do whatever the hell they want, and still get their cake too from their respective other, or then they are likely to cheat again. So I mean, unfortunately, I can't, unless I really know somebody, I can't, fucking sit down with somebody and hear that, their boyfriend or their, wife cheated on them, and then just say, she's probably going to cheat again, unless I really, really know the two people. Even then, I don't know what, the exact story of what happened, I don't know what's going through people's heads and such and such. I mean, granted, there are some instances where I hear that somebody cheated on somebody, and in the back of my head, I'm just like, yeah, that was expected. But of course, you can't say that to somebody, because when people are in a relationship, they're a lot of times blinded. It's just like it's like when unfortunately, when a lot of women get beaten by their husband, they don't see how bad it is. They think, oh my God, it's just because he loves me. He's going to change. We're going to work through this. But everybody else is like, wait, you got two black eyes and like a broken arm. Like, this dude's going to kill you next time. But she continuously plays it off because, she's blinded by the fact that she's in the middle of the relationship. But everybody outside of that box is just like, holy shit, dude, this is fucking terrible. Like, how can you stay with that dude? And it's not because they're dumb. It's just because they're too invested in it. They're too involved. They want it to work so bad that they can't fathom that it's definitely should end. And that it's not nearly as good as they think it is or they hope it to be. But yeah, I mean, fucking. So therefore, I can't say once a cheater, always a cheater, but I can't say not once a cheater, always a cheater. I mean, like I said, I do believe in rehabilitation, but some people like they're prisoners who they kill one person because they're making this mistake when they're younger. Maybe they're gang banging or something, and then they shoot somebody and that person dies. I believe that person, there's a good chance that person won't kill anybody again. Unfortunately, though, there are I can't remember the term for it, but there are people who a lot of convicts who have gone to prison, they do end up back in prison. But I mean, that's that I think could be linked to a whole different other instances. I don't think it's the fact that they think they're going to get away with the same crime, or that they're arrogant enough to fucking I killed this one lady by hit and run. Next time I'm going to drive even faster and get out of there even quicker. Then I'm not going to get caught. I think it's just like they've become institutionalized. They're unable to function outside of in the institution. A lot of them don't know like what to do in life without the institution. It's like the name of that, I can't, in Shawshank Redemption, I can't remember the name of that white dude, but the white dude who was in prison for many, many years, and then he got out, and then he had no idea like what to do with himself, so he ended up hanging himself. It was like Red said, Morgan Freeman's character, he was like in the prison, he was somebody. He was like an intelligent man, he was an intellectual, an educated man. But then when he got out, he was just some old ass dude who fucking, nobody cared about. And so I think that oftentimes plays, a big part in, why people go back to prison. It's just, it's something that they know. So so subconsciously, I think that there is kind of like a desire to go. For a lot of people, it's just a fucking, I don't really give it. It's not as groundbreaking to go back a second time to prison as it is your first, because you've already done the time, you know what to expect. Plus the fact it's fucking, it's absurdly hard to pick up the pieces, of your life once you've already fucked up. When you're fresh, out of high school or out of college, there are many more opportunities to you than, even if you've gotten the same education, but you're fresh out of prison. because people don't fucking wanna, they don't want to hire a convict or a felon, no matter what your crime is. If you've fucking been to prison, people are fucking sketched out by you. They think, you go to prison for tax evasion. They think next thing you know, you're gonna be fucking, holding up liquor stores and shanking people. So fucking people they don't want to hire former, prisoners and felons and shit like that. So I think that, like, the fact that you fucking, like, I can't remember fucking who, what the name of the actor was, but there was this movie that I saw about this guy who went to prison, and then it was it starred one of the guys who was on ER. He was a young black dude. He played the Grant character, I think, but he he went to prison for a gang-related crime, and then he got out, and it showed his struggle just to fucking find a job. He was going to all the interviews. He was, yes, I went to prison. He was being upfront about it, but then he was like, but then, they said that I bettered myself. I got, my education. Here's, a recommendation from my parole officer. Here's a recommendation from, like the instructors of the prison classes. And then people were just like, nah, sorry, no, I don't want to hear about it. No, I'm sorry, we're full. No openings. And then it just showed his struggle. Like, just people legit had like help wanted signs in the window. And then he'd go in and they'd be like, yeah, sorry, just filled. And then he'd go like back in front of the store and still see that help wanted sign. And it was just like they were just straight lying to him. But so, I mean, that's that's prison rehabilitation, which I'll one time maybe make a, more video specifically about that. But, I guess rehabilitation ties into whether or not people believe that, people can be rehabilitated from being a cheater, And I guess in some instances they can, but in a lot of instances they can't. And it's also, it's about how victimized the person, the person who was the quote victim feels. If I'm fucking heated, really heated, and I'm unable to see past it, obviously the marriage is going to fail. But if I take it like, yeah, dude, I was fucking working, 90-hour weeks, I don't see her for, more than an hour every, like 4 or 5 days, then it's kind of like, I understand that, like fucking she was lonely, and, then maybe I'm more likely to get past that shit. And so, I mean, it really depends upon the situation. Unfortunately, there's too much gray area to really fucking make a black and white diagnosis. But speaking as me personally, unfortunately, I feel like trust, it's very easy to lose, but it's very, very hard to gain back. It's like if somebody fucking drops your baby or something like that, you're fucking, it might be a quick fucking, through the hands, fucking slip where they just fucking fall right through and then they on the floor. And, it happened in, a second or two. But now, from now on, that mother who let you hold that baby is going to be fucking, no, you can't hold my baby, or fucking eyeballing the shit out of you every time you fucking touch that kid. So it's just fucking, it happens in an instant. Or not an instant in an affair case, maybe a night. But, it can ruin 20, fucking 30, 40 years of marriage. Who knows? But that's pretty much it. So, fucking word of advice: if you're in a committed relationship, don't fucking cheat. The sex might be good with the other person, but this fucking relationships are a lot more about sex. I mean, if it is just about sex, then you're fucking just get a prostitute to just fucking get like a clean escort or something like that. It's fucking less time consuming. I mean, obviously I don't, well, maybe I'll talk about fucking my thoughts on prostitution in a different video, but fucking, having a girlfriend just for straight sex, it's just fucking, it's stupid, It's time consuming, it's fucking, there's too much effort involved, There's too many games played, too much drama just for it, so fucking, just get a, booty call buddy or a fuck buddy or whatever you want to call it, but just do your best to get one of those and just fucking, stay away from, a real relationship if you're gonna fucking fuck around on somebody, because it's not. There are easier ways to get just straight sex, and so fucking. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Anyways, thanks for watching. So there were there were a couple comments recently about people saying my videos were too long and that I should, you know, really like format it out. And so I mean, tomorrow I think I'll or tomorrow, or you know, soon, maybe not tomorrow, if I have another topic that I want to talk about, I'll really talk about, you know, like why I don't really like, you know, like obviously these videos would be a lot more, they'd be a lot more concise and they'd be a lot, you know, better organized if I actually fucking prepped for them. But you know, like I tried to prep, I sort of prepped for a couple of them, but then fucking I just threw that to the wind, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna fucking just turn on the camera and kind of just like fucking free ball it a little bit, you know, go for it. Because it, you know, being on the spot makes me less nervous, you know. Well, not fucking, you know, fucking floodlights and, you know, 1,800 people in front of me. That would make me fucking nervous as hell. But, you know, just if I were to prep and I were to like write lines and shit like that, I feel like, you know, it'd be a lot harder for me to deliver, you know, off the cuff remarks and shit like that. So I mean, a lot of people want me to fucking treat this like a show where I like fucking rehearse and shit like that. You know, but for me, it's just like, let me get fucking used to speaking in front of a camera first, and then, you know, I'll see about, you know, like fucking actually trying to legit make like a half decent show. I'm not trying to say what I'm doing now is fucking pure shit, but I mean, it's just fucking pretty much just me rambling in front of a, you know, a webcam. I mean, eventually, you know, I've got a lot of ideas where I want to produce like a legit show where I want to just like have guests and like, you know, try and talk out like topics and shit like that with them. Like, oh, so fucking, you know, I'm pro homosexuality. Like fucking, you know, I believe that homosexuals should be able to marry and they should have all the, you know, the rights and shit, and you know, fucking the tax cuts that, you know, regular married or straight married people have. And then fucking maybe I'll try and, you know, talk to somebody who fucking doesn't believe that, and you know, maybe they'll fucking debate it with me. So I'd like to one day be able to produce a show like that where fucking, you know, it's really well formatted and stuff like that. But unfortunately that shit takes time, that shit takes energy, that shit takes money. I mean, and so fucking let me get used to fucking, you know, really reflecting and diving deep into shit, and then fucking, you know, as I get better at this, you know, hopefully, you know, even, you know, this entry level kind of television show starts to improve a little bit, and then maybe, you know, I'll start to really dive deep into it and start committing myself more towards it. Because right now I understand that I've got fucking 1 or 2 viewers, so I just pretty much just fucking, you know, go at it just like, what the hell, you know, fucking I'm just gonna, you know, talk to myself for fucking, you know, 45 minutes to an hour and see what the hell fucking spews out of my mouth. And you know, a lot of the times I understand fucking I repeat myself, you know, I lose my train of thought, you know, I do weird like fucking, you know, movements, you know, sometimes I fucking don't look straight ahead, you know, I dropped the F-bomb like 18 times the friggin' sentence, which somebody pointed out. Somebody was like, dude, I legit fucking counted how many times you said the F word in a minute, and it was like fucking 12 times. If you notice, I often say it more than once in a sentence. So, I guess I have to try and, you know, clean up my act a little bit. I mean, in the beginning when I first started dropping the F-bomb, I think I started, well, first off, you use it when you're a child because it's the dirty word. No, for a different video, I will talk about the F word because I could spend, you know, 40 minutes just talking about that. But for this video, you've gotten my thoughts on, you know, the cheating partner. So I gotta save some stuff to talk for a different day. Anyways, if you do watch me or watch my videos, you know, even occasionally, I appreciate it. You know, feel free to talk to me about it. I mean, you know, half the time I do just straight up talk to myself, and it does help me, expand on my own thoughts. But I do like to, like, obviously I'm doing this to, hear other opinions. I don't, I want, I'm 30 years old. My opinions and my thoughts on stuff, definitely not freaking set in stone. Definitely not in many instances the right ones, or the the super intelligent ones. I mean, I'm not arrogant enough to say that, most of my opinions are correct. A lot of my opinions are just fucking me, just fucking, going at something and just being like, I think this is it. Sometimes I'm fucking, I'll argue the wrong position just to see what other people think. I've done that before many times. I just like to play around with some people. I mean, sometimes I might even do it on one of these videos just to see freaking, you know, if people get, up in arms and they'll come at me and debate me. I mean, granted, I don't want anybody to think that I'm homophobic or anything like that, because I do know that my name is attached to this shit, at least in this instance. I mean, maybe, I will play it. Maybe I'll play it one day at a hardcore Christian perspective or something like that, just to see how people come at me and see if, I can, get people to really think about stuff. I don't want people to think that, I'm anti anything, that, anti any group of people. But, I do want people to really think about a situation, because now it's like, it's so easy to be, pro-gay, that a lot of people are pro-gay, especially youth are pro-gay, without really thinking about it. So I want people to really think about it, and I want them to be pro-gay, not because their friends are pro-gay or some, their teacher who's lesbian, thinks that they should be pro-gay, but because they've really thought about it and it's something that they agree with. And that's why I want people to make the right decision, or what I deem to be the right decision, but I want it to be an informed decision. And so, that's why maybe sometimes I might play around with my opinions a little bit more, just to get, like, people thinking, because I want these videos to be, maybe more, when I get more of an audience, I'll start to, really tinker around with shit, and I'll start to really put more thought into these and more preparation and shit like that. But for now, it's just me fucking, going free at a camera and just trying to see what fucking vomit spews out of my mouth in terms of freaking, discussions. But anyways, thanks for listening as always. And, you know where to reach me, and see you tonight.